How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming. This is a GameMaker Studio 2 quick tutorial. So this is just a brief tutorial on how to set up some depth and layering in your game using tile sets and the layering system without any code at all. No programming required for this. This is just a very simple concept. Once you get your head around it, you're going to be like, oh, that's so cool. So here's how it works. So on each map you have a bunch of different types of layers, right? You've got background layers, you've got instance layers, tile layers, pathing, and all that stuff. All we're really going to be messing with is instance layers and tile layers. An instance layer is where you're going to place your objects and stuff. Like you can see, I've got a data manager and all kinds of other objects that are just these are all instance layer objects, just like the player on the instance layer object. But what we're going to be doing is setting up multiple layers, multiple tile layers, in order to eliminate this problem. So we see we got our character walking around, and we walk in front of this tree, and it looks a little funny, doesn't it? This is completely messed up layering. So it's real easy to reorganize your layering and go over how to set it up so that you get something more like this, where you walk behind the tree and you're behind it. If you go in front of the tree, you can see that you're in front of the roots, but you're behind the bushes, as it would seem like these would kind of like the canopy of the tree would be above the player walking underneath the tree. So to get this sort of effect where you're in front of the root but you're behind the canopy and the fruit and everything, we'll go over how to do something like that. So all I'm doing is using one tile set, which I've already set up and showed you guys how to do that. And I'm just using the same tile set on multiple layers so that we can get rid of this sort of kind of, we're walking on the tree and stuff. So here we go, let's jump into it. So all you have to do is set up new tile layers. So just create a couple of new tile layers, click on them and hit F2, and it'll let you rename them. Just call, create your own convention. I've just gone with tile layer and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many layers I want to add. So you want to use a couple of layers underneath your character, your instance layer, where all of your objects will be placed for your character to walk around, because you want the character to have something to stand on, something to walk on, and possibly something on top of that to walk on. So by giving 2 layers, you give the player, you're giving the option to have a ground tile, and then something on top of that ground tile on the next tile layer, and then the player on top of that. Right? So it's good to have 2 underneath, and then also it's good to have 2 above it. That way you can have like the canopy of the tree, but if you wanted to draw, like, say, a fruit on the canopy of the tree, well, you would need a whole nother layer on top of that. Otherwise, you can see what it'll do is it'll overwrite that layer with the next, with another thing. So we just go to this layer, and that lets us draw the fruits on the tree without erasing what's behind it. And so really that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and go through make one of these trees from start. We'll go to tile layer on the ground, and we'll pick our ground. Let's say we want to have like this dirt, so we'll put some dirt here or whatever. I've gone over brushes in another tutorial, so we'll just do something like that. That's our ground, right? Now on our tile layer 2, we want to put like maybe some shrubbery or something on the. Let's see. Actually, one thing to note is when you're doing multiple, you're stacking tiles, you have to have transparent backgrounds. Otherwise, you'll see what's going to happen when you try to put, like this grass tile over this dirt tile. It's going to completely erase the dirt tile because they're both using up every single pixel. There's no transparency in these. So it's like, yeah, there is a dirt layer right underneath this grass layer, but you'll never see it because every pixel is covered up. So you have to kind of get some transparency. So if you wanted to do that, all you'd have to do is open this up in Photoshop or GIMP or anything and remove any background that you don't want transparent. Like on a lot of these icon sets, you'll see like a green or a gray or a black or a pink background color. That's the transparent color that's being used for like an RPG Maker engine or whatever engine. All you have to do is use the magic eraser and set your intensity to 100 or whatever. Click on that color, it'll erase all of that color from your whole thing, and then boom, now you have a transparent alpha 0. So it's completely see-through. It's a color there, but it's see-through, so it lets you tile them correctly. So now if I wanted to go to let's draw some dirt again. We'll draw this dirt. But we're on tile 2 here, so let's go ahead and erase that. So we've got our dirt. Perfect. We're going to go to, oh no wait, we're going to draw the dirt on tile layer 1. Actually just going to go like this and crease this up for 1 to clear it off because I'm getting messy. Now let's simplify it. Layer 1, we're going to draw some dirt. If you ever get a problem with like your layers not drawing right, it could be because you have different things on top of them. So let's go over how you fix that. You click on the top left icon in your tile set, and that's going to let you erase anything that's on that layer. So I'm going to erase everything that's being drawn on the tile 2 right there. Now I can go back to 1, and you see if you were to erase 1, it would, if you erase everything, it'll go to a box right there. But we don't want to do that. Now that we've got that, we'll set up a little dirt patch on tile 1, tile layer 2. And once again, to create new ones, you click there, you name it with F2. Now, let's get something with a transparent background to put on number 2. Let's go with this little bush. And we'll change our size back to 1 because we only need one of these. Now, you can see if we zoom in, Control and middle mouse, and I'm using middle mouse to move around, that it didn't erase the background. So all we're doing is drawing a transparent layer on top of another layer, and we actually have 2 different layers. So now our player would be able, on top of that, unless we put collision, which we'll do, and then we can do tile layer 3. All we have to do is make sure that there's some transparency, and boom, now there's a tombstone attached to that. And we could even do a 4th layer or 5th layer, and let's put this on top of it. So now you can see on this one tile in particular, we've got 4 different layered backgrounds. We've got a dirt background, then we've got a bush, then we've got a tombstone, and then some flowers on the tombstone. And that's going to give you a lot of customization because you can add as many tile sets as you want and as many layers as you want. And it's going to be a lot easier to handle that and with depth perception. So let's do a tree now. One last thing, and we'll call this the ending. How would we do a tree? Well, we got to do the ground layer, right? So we'll just say the ground layer is this grass, which it already is. So we've got our grass right here. Layer 2, we're going to put our transparent roots. So let's say these roots. So here's going to be our transparent roots. So now they're on top of that grass layer. You can see the grass behind it. Now we're going to go to 3 because you can see our instance layer where our player is going to be. Now everything we draw is going to be above the player. Well, what's going to be above the player? Well, the canopy of the tree is going to be above the player. So we're going to put that canopy on that layer. Now if we wanted to put something in the tree, like some flowers or some fruits or some berries, we would just go to the next layer and put them right there so it doesn't erase. Because if we try to do it on 3, you can see that it would erase the tree in there. So let's press Control Z, undo that. But if we go to 4, it lets us put it there. Well, let's test it. We'll go ahead and go to our instance layer, which lets us select our objects that we have on. And if I click on this, it highlights the blue here. So it's showing me where I have my character hidden behind the tree we drew. So we'll just move him around. And we'll put him right there. And we're going to test this tree to make sure that it displays correctly. So we'll just do a quick test. And I think that would be pretty close to the end of the tutorial. So if we walk behind it, yeah, we walk behind it, and that looks good. And if we come down, we have right here. So the next thing we have to add is collision. Because if we go down, we have a little bit of clipping. I don't know if you can barely, there's clipping right there. In this little pixel, there's clipping. So all you do is add collision, a red collision box right there. Then the player will not be able to walk down farther than right here. So if they press down one more pixel, boom, you know, they'll be blocked off. So they can't even walk down right there. They won't be able to walk into this tree. They'll be able to walk to right here. But because we put the main block, this is actually 3 tiles, the left side, the middle, they would only be blocked off from 1 tile, the root, so that it eliminates the clipping. 1 collision tile, and that's all you have to do. Then the canopy is above the player, and the player walks around it, and you get the correct depth perception. And guess what? We didn't code anything. We did everything with the engine, and it's pretty much easy peasy, man. It's so much better than 1.4. GameMaker Studio 2 is awesome. But that's going to do it for this tutorial on codeless version of depths, setting up depths for your objects in your games and for your mapping and all that stuff. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy it, please give this video a thumbs up, like, favorite, share, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more tutorials and first impression videos. And yes, thank you so much to all my Patreon supporters. I love you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.